Okay, so I've been trying to build a business for the last 5 years, and in that time, I wasted $20,000. And if I can go in time and tell my dumbass, hey man, definitely don't do these three things, this is exactly what I would avoid. Keep in mind, $20,000 is not a small amount of money. In some cases, that's a down payment on a house. My future wife is mad at me right now. I spent the house money, the money for the crib, on failed business decisions. So let's talk about it. Okay, so mistake number one, lack of focus. I'll be honest, over the course of the last 5 years, while I have made a ton of progress, if I was focused every day and just tracking my progress and moving forward, I'd probably be much further along than I am right now. I'd have a lot of money right now if I could just stay focused. I had tons of distractions in my life, and to be honest, I still got some right now that I was just letting them steal time from me. Here's a big example of a distraction for all my guys watching this. You see this? This is a huge distraction. I love my PS4. But there's a time and a place for these things. Also, your phone, huge distraction. Also, keeping up with commitments with friends who weren't really my friends, but I was just trying to keep up with them because I didn't want to feel like an outsider. Another distraction. And then, the biggest distraction of all, not sticking with one business idea at the same time. So for me, you guys know this, I'm a software developer. I tried to do too many things at once. I'm like, oh, let me start this YouTube thing. But then, oh, I also want to build Shopify themes. But then, oh, also Shopify apps. But I need to make some money, so I need to do an agency, right? And I need to work with clients. But then also I need to find time to keep doing stuff for my job because that's what's paying for everything. You see how I had everything just all over the place? How could I expect to make any kind of good progress with anything if I didn't sit down and have an honest conversation with myself about what my priorities are and what I need to be focused on? Keep in mind, I'm not saying you gotta get rid of all the things that bring you joy. I'm not selling my PS4 anytime soon. I'm not gonna stop going out. I'm not gonna stop doing things that give me joy because, you can't just be work, work, work all the time, right? You gotta make room for stuff that's fun and that you love to do. But at the same time, you gotta be focused on whatever your goal is. Leave the things that you love doing as a reward for a job well done. That was what I didn't understand. So that lack of focus kept me starting new things and then quitting and then starting new things and then quitting over and over and over. And to be honest, after 5 years, although I have made some money, I don't really have much to show for it. Honestly, the most money I've made in a single year is a little over 100K. And that was from my job. As far as I'm concerned, if you look at my business career or the things that I've tried, high key, I was a much more successful employee than a business owner or a person running a business. I just got high off the fact that, I have this company and it says Patrick Pierre, CEO and president. That's cool and all, but I didn't focus on the stuff that actually mattered. So if I had to go back, that's definitely something that I would do differently. Okay guys, mistake number two, and this is probably where I wasted all the money, right? I kept thinking another course is gonna fix the problem. Oh my lord. This is the one that robbed me of my money in my account. I started up a fresh business. I have a business bank account. I thought, I'm spending money on business expenses. Gotta spend money to make money, right? Let me go do this course. Let me go do this mastermind. Let me go learn from this person that's made money. Wrong, wrong, wrong. All I did was gather a bunch of information that I did not execute on. Let me actually show you guys something. Michael Michalowicz. So Mike Michalowicz, he wrote this book that I read called Profit First, and he also read a book called Clockwork, right? These are two very popular business books. So of course, whenever you buy the book, usually inside the book, there's some kind of free tool or downloadable PDF to help you implement stuff in the book. That's how they get your email. And then from there, they start marketing to you, right? This is standard business stuff. I do the same thing on my email list. So no hate, that's what we do, right? So Mike Michalowicz, he has a ton of books. He was releasing this book called Get Different, which is a marketing book, right? So I wanted to check out Get Different, and then along with Get Different, they were doing a mastermind program, right? So the purpose of this book is to help you with your marketing. To those of you that don't know, if you can't market and promote your business, you can't make any money. So regardless of what business you're doing, whatever it is you're working on, you need to understand how to put yourself out there, how to market, how to sell, how to get people to know, hey, I exist, please come buy from me, right? So I was trying to learn the get different marketing strategies from Mike Michalowicz. He had a mastermind. The mastermind was $2,000 for the whole thing, right? It was like a weekend, $2,000. I thought to myself, wow, that's a lot of money. But at the time, I was working my job. I was getting paid $8,000 a month. So I was like, okay, like I could take this hit. Admittedly, it was a very emotional decision. There wasn't much logic there. I just had a desire to start my own business. I didn't want to be trapped to just being an employee because at the end of the day, the company that I worked for could decide to let go of me whenever they want, which is actually what they ended up doing. You know, you can go check out my I got laid off video for that. But essentially, when you're an employee, unless you're providing actual value to the company, like you're making them money, you're always going to be at risk. You're an expense. So I had a strong desire to start my business. I thought $2,000, I got that, whatever. So I did the mastermind and I was so excited. I got in there. I was talking to people. I showed up on all the calls. I did everything they asked me to do. And guess what happened, guys? I didn't make any money. I learned nothing. To this day, I don't think I implemented a single thing I learned in the mastermind. Now, most people would jump out and think, oh, wow, okay, Mike Michalowicz he's BS, like none of the stuff he talks about works. Mike Michalowicz is not the problem. Everything he was saying was probably valuable. Honestly, if I learned what he was saying right now again, I could probably make better sense of it. The problem is, new information will not solve business problems. After a certain point, you don't need more information, you need to execute. So there's a guy that I follow a lot of his content on YouTube. His name is Alex Hermosi. Let's look this up right now. Hold on. Alex Hermosi. I'm a big fan of his. We're not going to watch any video. I just want to show this to you guys. You guys haven't seen it before. Okay, so Alex Hermosi, big business guy, right? He often talks about how most people in business have an execution problem. And I think it's something that I'm still dealing with myself. I kept thinking more courses, more masterminds, more information. If I know more information, I'll be able to make more money, right? Wrong. And it took me way too long to learn that. It took me $20,000 to learn that. So if I could go back in time and tell myself, hey man, like you don't need more information, you just need to stick to something. At the time, I was trying to do Shopify themes. I was trying to find clients to do Shopify work for. I was interested in doing like Shopify app stuff. And then also potentially starting a YouTube channel. Like, I don't know. My mind was all over the place and I was just trying to do everything at once. And I kept thinking that more information would help me do all the stuff. When in actuality, the only thing that helps is sticking to one thing or one focused result you're trying to create. And then just, just focusing on that every day until something clicks, something works, right? All right. So that is mistake number 2. Okay, so mistake number 3, taking advice from people that are too far ahead of where you're at. So I've had a lot of mentors in the past. And one thing that I always had to be mindful of was that any advice they give me is good advice, but sometimes good advice given at the wrong time is bad advice. Take out a notebook and actually write that down. Good advice given at the wrong time can be bad advice if it doesn't apply to your current situation. Here's a quick little story I can tell you. I had a mentor a while back when I was just getting started with doing web development stuff. At the time, I wasn't even doing Shopify projects. I was doing stuff in WordPress, and the person ran a WordPress development agency. Now, I'm not gonna name names because this is a person that I really respect, and to this day, I love this guy. He's the one that gave me my first start as a developer, and without him, I wouldn't be where I'm at today. So I have a lot of respect for him. So I'm not gonna name names. Matthew. I'm just kidding. I don't know anyone named Matthew except for Daredevil in the popular Disney Plus show, by the way. Good show. Totally go watch that. But either way, so this mentor of mine, who is not named Matthew, because I don't know anybody named Matthew, when I started working with him, I was going to be brought on to his company as a contractor. Essentially, he would get work and I would be doing the work that he couldn't do, and then he'd pay me based on whatever dealing he made with the client, right? So I met with his lawyer, and his lawyer told me, hey, it might make a lot of sense for you to start an S Corp, a small business corporation, because it would help you save money on taxes. That is a great idea. Here's the problem. You have to be making a ton of money already for that to be relevant to your situation. Yes, S Corps have tax benefits, but you have to run the business a certain way according to the laws in the US, federally and on a state level. That was the part I didn't understand. Like me, my dumbass, I was like, oh great, so I can save money on taxes. I'm out here just writing invoices, getting the money, right? Paying myself. Yeah, we making money, right? Wrong. I only made like maybe 40K that year. Not enough money for S Corp anything to be any kind of valuable or relevant to me at all. And on top of not being able to take advantage of the tax benefits of an S Corp, I had a ton of overhead to manage because I didn't know that S Corps are supposed to be managed in a certain way. You have to do things in a certain way in order for the IRS and the New York State Department of Taxation to leave you alone. I didn't know that. So there were a few filings that I missed. And then I got all these scary letters sent to my house, warning notices. Hey, you need to pay us our money. Hey, we're going to seize your assets, blah, blah, blah. Now, at the time, I was like, I don't even got any assets for you to seize. Good luck. I don't have anything. Digital, know what I mean? I don't have anything for you to take. But essentially, I went about that whole thing the wrong way. And I'm actually still dealing with that situation right now, although I think I might have a way to resolve it. But I could have saved myself a lot of heartache, a lot of hard times by just doing my due diligence and understanding, hey, an S Corp can make sense, but in my situation, an LLC or just running the business as a contractor with no business structure yet makes a lot more sense than dealing with the additional overhead of an S Corp. I wasn't smart enough to realize that at the time. So, like I said, sometimes really good advice given to you at the wrong time can be bad advice. Don't ever forget that. All right. So I talked about all the mistakes that I made. Now let's talk about what I think you should do instead of making those mistakes that I made. Number one, ignore the fancy masterminds and the expensive courses, okay? I get it. You want to invest in yourself, invest in your knowledge. That's wonderful. But listen, you don't have any money to invest in these things yet. It doesn't make sense in your situation. You haven't even made $1 yet. Like, don't spend money you don't have. If you want to get a course, try to find something you can actually afford without putting yourself on a payment plan, or try to go on YouTube or on somebody's website, wherever the case may be. Try to find the free information that can get you started, at least until you're able to make some money. Once you're making money, then we can talk about investing in your knowledge to help you grow faster, right? Now, one person I'd recommend is Alex Hermosi. Even though a lot of the stuff he focuses on is for service-based businesses, stuff in there is useful for e-commerce businesses as well as developers. Like pretty much any kind of business can get value out of his content. Plus, he has some great books. Like I've been following him for a while. Highly recommend. Focus on the free stuff and the affordable stuff, and go follow Alex. I follow him. I love all his content. So that's the first thing I think you should do. The second thing I think you should do is understand that once you have a basic understanding of how to run whatever business you're trying to run, just go do the thing. This is something I struggle with as well. Trying to be perfect, trying to execute everything exactly as you envisioned it. Like, I've rarely had a situation where something goes perfect my first few times of trying it. Hell, my first 100 times of trying it, things haven't gone perfectly. Even this channel, in my head, I thought that by now I would have 20,000 subscribers, and I've just crossed 2,000 after 2 years. So suffice to say, it didn't go according to plan, but it's okay. I took imperfect action. It's fine. I'll course correct as I go along. I'm still taking action. I'll get better. That's the mentality you have to have with whatever it is you're doing. Just focus on getting better instead of trying to be perfect. After a while, other people who don't know how much work you've put in will think you're perfect at everything, where in actuality, you just kept putting the work in until your work ended up looking like it's perfect, like perfection, right? So that's the second thing. The third thing is track, okay? You need to keep yourself accountable and honest about what it is you've actually done and what you haven't done. So I want you to sit down and have some kind of method to tracking your performance. This is mine. You see this? This is a timer. This is probably the best $20 I've ever spent in my entire life. If these people had an affiliate link, I'd be selling this all day long because this thing helps me stay focused. Whenever I'm working, I turn off my phone, I turn the timer on, I do my thing. Sometimes I go outside, I take the timer with me, go to a coffee shop, whatever the case may be. This thing goes wherever I go. This is my most important, valuable, my most prized possession. To be honest, this has helped me a lot more than that $20,000 that I spent. So find some way of tracking yourself, keeping yourself honest. I recommend buying a timer, but just find something that works for you because you need to focus on beating yourself from yesterday every day. And I'm not just telling you that, I'm telling that to myself as well. All right. Hopefully you got value out of that. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you liked the video, make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel if you found it valuable, and yeah, you don't want to miss out on any new uploads I got coming out for you guys. So let me know if you guys enjoyed this, and yeah, I'll see you on the next one.